So tonight we're going to talk about maps. Goodness gracious, talk about maps, right? So I love NLP, right? People learn NLP, and I talk to them about NLP a day, a week, a month, a year later, 10 years later, and they can recount some of the presuppositions of NLP. I think I could actually talk 13 consecutive weeks in a row for 2 hours each on each singular presupposition of NLP and its importance. I think I could do that easily. I think I could easily talk for 26 hours on the 13 presuppositions of NLP and still leave things unsaid. So the one we're going to talk about tonight is the map is not the territory. And it is, to me, one of the aha moments in NLP for me, because as an aviator, I grew up in an era, I flew in an era before GPSs and digital navigation gear, right? Like wasn't quite stone tablets that had the direction on, but it was just a little down the road from that, big paper maps. And we flew, when we were flying long distance at fairly high altitudes, we had a map that, they're called 1 in a million maps. So 1 inch equals 1,000,000 inches, right? 1 foot on the map equals 1,000,000 feet on the ground. So you have a big picture of a big territory on a single map, 1 in a million. And then when I flew tactically, so I flew a military helicopter and I flew in an organization, an agency where our primary job was to insert troops in a battle. So when we were flying missions in that mission profile, we flew very, very low level. So we flew on what's called a 1 in 25,000 map. So you have the same size of piece of paper, but it's just a little wee territory on it. Maybe 5 kilometers long or 10 kilometers wide. So we have these different maps. And when I studied NLP, right, and then of course we grew up in schools where we have globes, which are maps wrapped around a ball. And then we take that map off the globe and we stretch it out on a piece of paper and distort the north and the south to make it rectangular. We call that a transverse Mercator projection. So it's another map, right? There's an older woman on YouTube, teacher, that shows the invocation of racial prejudice in the transverse Mercator, where all the Northern European, Canada, and the United States, because of our northern places, are stretched, and the equator is actually down in Brazil. So the farther north you are, the farther south you are, the more gross the distortion is. So Greenland is massive and Iceland's even quite big. And you look at a country like Nigeria or Sudan on a transverse Mercator and they're small. But when you actually look at them on a globe, they're friggin' big. And all the brown countries, all the countries where people have brown or black skin are disproportionately smaller in reality on that representation than the countries to the north. She said, no wonder we have this, over aggrandized view of ourselves. We've even screwed up the picture of the world we live in, right? We've twisted it. We've transmogrified it. So maps are not the territory. When I learned that, holy cow. And so I could understand it from my military experience very easily. And I think people understand it conceptually, but they don't understand how impactful it is. I think there's an opportunity to understand. Tonight, I'm not talking about your clients. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about me, my map, your map, right? Because I think if we get our maps better, if we actually run on better maps, I think we can all improve our performance as coaches. And I think that's really, really important. And I think when we get our maps right, then as coaches, we'll be able to help our clients get their maps right. Because I'm going to tell you that a person who's been traumatized, here I go talking about trauma again, we're 12 minutes in, 15 minutes in, 30 minutes in, holy cow. A person who's been traumatized, their map of reality is really, really, really skewed. Their map does not represent the territory. And yet our maps, we experience as reality. We experience the world we live in through our map as reality, right? Because it is a filter. It is a filter. So as a crazy aside, the map is not the territory comes from a document written in 1931. 1931 by Alfred Korzybski. All right, so the origins of the map is not the territory comes from there. And it appeared in print in a book called A Non-Aristotelian System and Its Necessity for Rigor in Mathematics and Physics. The map is not the territory. One of the first challenges to science as we know it. Oh, there you go. So it actually, and before that, it came from numerology. The map is not the thing mapped. So when you do numerology, the thing you're mapping with numerology is not the object you're mapping. It's just a representation of it. So throughout history, there's been a whole bunch of people who have understood that concept, challenged that concept, and presented it differently. And in one particular book called The Treachery of Images, it's got a picture of a pipe, a painting of a pipe, and the caption underneath, it's in French, but it said, "This is not a pipe." Because we see things and our generalization filter, remember you have three primary filters, delete, distort, generalization. Our distortion and generalization filters kick in, and we see a picture of a pipe and we say that's a pipe. And it's not. It's just a representation of the pipe. It's a two-dimensional representational pipe. So have you ever been traveling and had a map and tried to get somewhere, but then the map ended before you got to your location? You didn't have enough map to get to where you wanted to go? Yeah? All the old people in the room remember apps. I mean, your GPS goes forever. I'm sorry for those of you who just run on GPSs. But often it would happen that you wouldn't have the right map. I remember traveling with my family. We always had maps in the door handle, right? In the door, you have a map. You know, so you're going from northern Ontario to southern Ontario. That was a 2-map trip, right? You couldn't find downtown Toronto on the map that we lived on in Toronto. Huh. I couldn't have gotten to Laura Phelps's backyard to the CN Tower because it wasn't on the map that I lived on in northern Ontario. The map is not the territory. So how can you get what you want in your life if it's not part of your map? How can you get what's important to you if it's not on your map? And we can set goals and we can do a whole bunch of things, but if what you want isn't on your map, you cannot get there. There's no path, there's no plan, there's no road, there's no way to get there for you, is there? Just think about it. You can't have with that which is outside your grasp. You can't have what you don't know. If it's not on your map, it doesn't matter what the territory outside your map would provide you with many more things in your life than you may even ask for it. But if it's not in your map, you're not going to get it. It's only when you learn about something. It's only when you learn about something and you think about it and you start to visualize it that it comes into your map. And the map scale is interesting. Lewis Carroll talked about a fictional map that had a scale of 1 mile to 1 mile. Well, that sounds like reality, right? If your map is the same scale as reality, you're actually in reality. But they joked about that. And we now use the country as itself, as its own map, and I assure you it does nearly as well, right, as the reality. So if you want to achieve something, it has to be part of your map. If it isn't, you're not going to achieve it. Now, as soon as somebody says, I want to do something, part of them And maybe it's the voice of your mother or your father or your evil brother or your evil sister or whoever else is evil in your life in the past. And I say evil not as a religious evil, but just because I don't want to say asshole in case there's children listening. Just an evil person in your life. They start saying, what if? What if this and what if that? And maybe you start saying it, what if, right? So you come to a session like we've had over the last 2 months where we're talking about getting our narrative right and knowing where we're going. Then part of our brain kicks in and says, what if? What if? We need to be very mindful. We need to be aware of those what if statements. Because Carrie put it in the comments, they start shrinking our map pretty fast, right? I want to go to Ottawa this weekend, but what if the truckers are still there and I can't get past Kingston? Well, what if it snows? We haven't had a snowstorm for 2 weeks and we always get snowstorms. What if the salt trucks aren't running? Oh, what if my car needs servicing? We need to be mindful of our thoughts because our thoughts are impacting the vividness of our map and the credibility of our map, right? Can you imagine if in the military, again, I tell people what I did and it's hard to conceive it, but I'll tell you again. I flew a 6-ton helicopter, 12,000 pounds, 1,800 horsepower, over 60 feet long at 15 feet, 15 feet above the ground at 100 nautical miles per hour. So it's 115 miles an hour with 4 or 5 or 8 other helicopters behind me. What if I started questioning the map? How could I do that mission? And we would fly in river valleys so we would avoid radar. We would fly beside tree lines so you couldn't see us coming. What if I started questioning the map at 100 nautical miles an hour at 15 feet? What if that tree line's not really there? Well, what if the river doesn't turn left and it turns right? What would happen to me in my formation? It would start distorting the map and distorting my confidence in the map. And we do it all the time as humans. And we don't do it in a structured way that adds value to what we do. We don't do it in an analytical way. These what ifs just start coming. What if I fail? What if I can't find the money? What if, right? And they really impact your map. So how can you add value to your map? How can you really create a map? So as we're all sitting here, as I prepped for this today, I started imagining my map. I spend a couple hours every Tuesday prepping for this. I don't come in here randomly. I spend about 2, maybe 3 hours prepping. And so as I thought about my own map, what informs our map? I've talked about Lisa Feldman Barrett before, how emotions are made. And we're predicting all the time how we respond in the future. Well, that's a map, is it not? It's an emotional prediction map. Instead of having restaurants and bars on it, it has emotional predictions. Oh, there's a stimulus, anger. Oh, there's a stimulus, love. Oh, there's a stimulus, love. Oh, there's a stimulus, joy. And it's a map of all the stimulus in our life and how we're going to react to it. As I started thinking about that map and started visualizing my map, what are the things I think about that make me happy? What are the things I think about? What are the things I imagine? Those are all things on my map. I only think and imagine stuff that are within my map. I cannot think about something that's not part of my map because it's, as Donald Rumsfeld said, it's the unknown unknown. Right? I can only think about the known knowns, and I can fantasize or imagine the unknown knowns, but I can't know the unknown unknowns. And so our family stories are critical in the creation of our map, and especially the stories that occur when? From 0 to 7, in the imprinting phase. It's like your family, your friends, your coaches, the priest, the minister, the teachers are your map makers, right? When you're young, they're the people putting the data into your map. Oh, Alan, you're such a good boy. Oh, Alan, you're such a bad boy. Oh, Alan, you're so good at math. Oh, Alan, you never pay attention. Go stand in the corner. All truisms, by the way. And our map starts forming, right? Our maps. So for me, when I started thinking about that exercise, and I ask you to turn inside and just think about your family stories and how your map grew out of your family stories, right? Think about your holiday traditions, your Thanksgiving, your Christmas. Those are family traditions that are put into your map. And it's kind of interesting. A lot of our traditions are close, but a lot of our traditions are really different. Hey, look at this. We have Melly in Australia joining us. Hey, Melly. Long time no see.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, so when you start thinking about your family stories, just take a moment and just draw a circle on a page and put my map and then write family stories. Because we don't have time tonight, but I really encourage you to think about the family stories that contributed to the map you have. And if they're empowering stories, family stories influence decisions. Decisions create beliefs. The beliefs create boundaries on your map. I was sitting having pizza with my two boys tonight before I came back to do this, and Tara wasn't home. She was somewhere with Tessa. And Mika, the 10-year-old, says to the 12-year-old, Reese, as if I'm not there, Mom's really interested in why Dad has a crush on Elon Musk. It's beautiful, right? The kids hear everything, and they're talking as if I'm not there back and forth. And Reese says, well, he's 6'2", and he's really, really smart. I love it. But Elon Musk, when I was thinking about maps, I think, what the heck kind of map does that guy have? What is the map of his territory? Because it seems pretty big. There you go, Liz. I never got told I was going to burn in hell, but I always got accosted by the choir boys. They traveled in a pack, and they would ask, there's only two churches in the little community I grew up in, Protestant and Catholic, and they'd say, are you Protestant or Catholic? And my father taught me never to lie, so I'd say Protestant, and I'd get my ass kicked. So that was quite, So I learned to not trust choir boys. I also learned how to get insane and chase them, but that's another story. But it's part of my map. That actually is quite an insight, by the way, just happened just now. As a young man, 18 to 25, if people approached me and they got into my space too fast, I always countered, escalated, and ended the interaction fast. And it was because of growing up in that little mining town and getting my backside kicked many, many times by a pack. I just learned that the only way to be safe is to be crazy. Out-escalate everybody else. That was just profound aha moment there. But I think about the maps that we create, our families, and do we repeat the sins of the past because our family imprints some of our map? For some of us, we're repeating the sins of the past. What do I mean by that? We're actually behaving like our mother or our father, even though we weren't really happy with their behavior, right? Some of us are repeating the joys and the greatness of our past, but some of us are repeating the sins. And I wrote a note about that because my father was gifted and unfulfilled. He was gifted and unfulfilled. He never saw his full potential realized. And so I need to investigate that as a person. Growing up, and I grew up in his latter life. My brothers, who grew up when my father built our first home, raced cars, built guitars, taught music, come from the same gene pool as me. My oldest brother and I, if you look at us at the same age, we're very similar physically. But as you know, Bruce Lipton says, thoughts, feelings, environment give our epigenetics. And my older brother is a top 40, under 40 guy. He has patents to his name and blah, 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 all that stuff, right? I grew up with a different father We have the same father, but I grew up with a different father. So my map, my imprinting, my stories are all different. Oh, nice. That's nice, huh? Microsoft was just about to update my computer in the middle of this. Microsoft's map of their territory is very inappropriate. They think they own my computer. All right, so if you wrote these 3 words down the left-hand side of a piece of paper, before you do that, anybody who's an immigrant or the child of an immigrant, like my father would be 104 years old if he were here today. He was born just at the end of towards the end of the Second World War. They immigrated to Canada when he was 6. They lived through the Second World War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. War impacted them, lived through the Depression, right? So their map, I grew up in 1955. We started building a new Canada. The Canadian experience, especially in Ontario context, everything was built brand new in the 60s, the late 50s, early 60s. We literally rebuilt the country. So imagine the imprint, the map that they grew up in. And I grew up in an era where I would consider to be very abundant, but nothing like my children are growing up in. Nothing like my children are growing up in. So what will your children's map of the territory be like? What map are they formulating as they move forward? Yeah, so write these 3 words down the left-hand side of a piece of paper. And this isn't an all-encompassing list, but it's a good enough list. Remember we talked about the 80-20 rule? I think this is, you get this part right, you got way more than 80% right. If you wrote health, then wealth, and then relationships. And you wrote health, wealth, and relationship. So that's one column. In the column next to it, under health, right? Under health, so your health. Write 7 to 10 things you're not happy about. Just write them straight down, just a column. So you have health and write 7 to 8 things, 9 things you're not happy with. And then do the same things with wealth. You know, I'm self-employed. I'm not happy that I don't have a pension plan. Yep. If I was in the military, I'd retire on $100,000 a year index for life. How do I replace that as an entrepreneur? How much money do I have to put in the bank to replace that? $3.2 million. So now I've got to go earn an extra $3.2 million to replace the pension I left in the military. That's the privilege of being self-employed, right? In my sleep, baby, in my sleep, I can do it. So write down the 8 things you're not happy about under your health. Then under wealth, write down the 8 things you're not happy about. And then next to relationship, write the 8 things you're not happy about. Maybe you're not in a relationship. Maybe you're a rotten relationship. Maybe you're in a relationship where all your needs aren't being met. What needs? Be specific, right? Do a meta model. When you write, all my needs aren't being met, write the specific needs that aren't being met. What would Virginia Satir do if she was sitting with you right now? So you should generate a list of 24 or 25 things that you're not happy with in 3 broad categories: health, wealth, relationship. Because these are the things that are eating your bandwidth. Whether you know it or not, the things you're not happy about are what eating your bandwidth. Regardless of how much I say, regardless of what you say, what I say, whatever, most of us are spending a massive amount of our day on thinking about things we don't want or things we're unhappy with. I don't care who you are. It's part of our culture. It's part of the human condition in this time. And I've listened to so many Elon Musk interviews right now. I never hear him talk about what he doesn't want. He's the kind of guy, I kid you not, he was driving across LA. He's lived there for about 18 years now. Driving across LA, tied up in traffic. He said, I wonder, a lot of cities have built tunnels to alleviate traffic. I wonder if I should build a tunnel. He went to the city of LA. Guess what Elon Musk is doing? Digging tunnels under LA right now, building new roads. Stuck in traffic. That's a big brain, right? That's a person who's got a big map. So you've got this list of 25, 24, 25 in three broad categories: health, wealth, relationship. Then if emotions come up, when you think about any of those 25 items that you're unhappy with, just write the name of the emotion beside it. Some of you guys are seeing NLP coming together here. Some of you women, I guess, there are no guys. I have to quit saying you guys. Tara from Northern Ontario knows you guys is a very Northern Ontario saying. You guys. So you have these three broad categories, and if you were to think of a map, you have the 25 things you're not happy with on your map. So now you've got this map of what you're not happy with, and now you're overlaying an emotional layer, what it's costing you emotionally by having these things that you're not happy with in those three broad areas of your life.
Can you give us some more examples?
Of what?
I'm either avoiding it or I'm just not coming up with, like, I can't come up with like 7 to 10 things I'm not happy with.
Oh, really? God bless you. So under health, I'll just talk personally. Under health, I still have stiffness in my knee. And if we go for a walk somewhere around 7K, there's something wrong with my knee. I still feel pain in my knee. That bothers me. All right. Under health, I'd like to be 7 pounds lighter. That bothers me. I'd like to be 7 pounds lighter. Under health, I'm not happy that my eyes, I need reading glasses to wear again. 3 years ago, I wasn't wearing my reading glasses. Right? And somebody might say, you're 66, get over it. No, no, sorry, I don't have to. I can be unhappy because unhappy, a little bit of pain creates motion, right? So you can quickly do it. Under wealth, I could put down again personally, I don't have enough comfort money for my retirement. Under wealth, I don't have a retirement plan because I keep saying to myself, I'm going to work until I die. When you keep saying you work until you die, guess what you don't do? Save for your retirement. You don't care because you're going to work until you die. All right? Under wealth, I'd like to have real estate property for each of my kids now. Because I'm worried that when my 8-year-old gets to be 20, she won't be able to even afford a down payment on a house at the way escalation is going. That sort of thing. And under relationships, right? What would I like to have? I'm not happy I don't get to spend time with my older children. They live on the West Coast. Under relationships. And don't anybody tell me, just Zoom with them. It's not the fucking same. That AT&T ad where they said, reach out and touch somebody, yeah, it was cute, but it's not the same. Quality time. I heard somebody say, no, you should spend quality time with your children. If you've been divorced, as I've been, you don't plan quality time. Hey, let's get together between 3 and 4:15 and have quality time. Doesn't work that way. Quality time is an extemporaneous thing that happens. You know, I'm walking downstairs and Tessa's walking upstairs, and she said, Dad, do you want to watch a canto with me? And I do 180 degrees and we walk upstairs and get on the bed and we turn on a canto. That's quality time. I would like more quality time with my 2 bigger kids. So there you go. Is that some ideas? Larissa, did that help? And then the emotions. So you can hear my tonality. You can see my physiology. I can write the emotions down beside all of those. That's easy peasy. All right. Now here's the fun part, right? If I was, now let me take the piss out of traditional therapists. if I was a traditional therapist, I'd say, well, that's my counselor hour. It's 55 minutes. We got a call, and I'll see you in 3 weeks. Have a great, right? You good? I'm good. There, that's my jibe at traditional counseling. Carrie's shaking her head at me. Sorry, all you traditional counselors, I apologize not. So the fourth column here is you're going to write down, what do I want instead? Because what you want instead is your new map. It's your new map, baby. So let's be honest. Let me see a show of hands. How many people wake up and within the first 3 minutes think about things they don't want to have happen that day or things they don't want to do? Be honest. How many people wake up and some of those thoughts come in, the don't wants come into your head? Yeah. They eat up a lot of bandwidth. They eat up energy and they create a chemistry flow in your body that's hard to overcome as the day grows. Right? And if you dwell on them, you're actually pulling the past into the present. You're living the present past or the past present, but you're not living the present, or as Joe Dispenza said, you're not living the abundant future, right? So what we want to do with this list is move to what we want, right? And we want to start working there. We want to spend a lot of time there because the map you have of your territory, see, some of us believe, and let me phrase this properly. Some of us talk a good talk. Like I'm a great talker. And some of us walk a good walk. Right? And so our map is a program to our micro behaviors. And we want to become absolutely aware of what is controlling our map and our micro behaviors. So that 4 list told you what's controlling your micro behaviors is what you're not happy with. The emotions are the chemistry you're producing. And where we want to move to is, what do you want? Right out of the shoe. What do I want to do today? What do I want to accomplish today? What amazing things might I bump into today? Right? And as soon as you start hearing the what if, all the what if. What if Billy spills his milk at breakfast? Or what if my husband's grumpy? Or what if my wife's irritable? As soon as that does, that starts putting boundaries on your map. So we have to get back into, what do I want instead? What do I want to have happen today? Right? And we're looking for micro behaviors. Tara talked about James Clear and atomic habits. Right? So when we start managing our micro behaviors, those small little behaviors that accumulate during the day, you know, it's the 3rd thumb stroke through Facebook. It's not the first one that creates the waste of time. It's not the second. It's the 3rd one. Because once you've done it 3 times, it's hard to stop your thumb, right? And who's the Facebook scrollers here? Right? Whether you're out there, one of you is out there. I know some of you are out there. You scroll on Facebook. And you know, as soon as your thumb gets in that rhythm, that micro behavior, it's hard to stop, right? I'm a YouTube scroller now. Those little sound bites on YouTube. I caught myself the other day just going through them at like lightning. I said, what's going on? I'm going to get a cramp. So micro behaviors. You want to become overwhelmed with what you want. Right? And so when you think about your day, if you just closed your eyes and, you know, we did this the other time when we were talking values, the 3 I's, the I say I am, the I do every day, and the I want to be in the future. Well, when you did the middle I, the I do all day, you're actually doing a review of your day, right? So if you closed your eyes and did another review of your day, and be honest, be ruthlessly honest, because this is important. How much of your day are thinking about what you don't want? Even when you're thinking about making money or being successful, how much of your day are you thinking about what you don't want? Is it, you know, there are people that are well over 90% of their day. I'm not suggesting any of you are there, but there are people that are well over 90% of their day are thinking about what they don't want. And so don't answer. Ashley, you gonna be okay?
Yeah, there's just a lot there, Alan. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
There you go. But again, trauma is one of those things. Having been a traumatized person, I thought everybody had 3 to 4 nightmares a week where they got out of bed soaking wet, running with their partner, dragging them down the floor, right? I thought that's just normal life. I thought losing your shit on people in public was okay because the trauma never ends, right? But the trauma constrains the map and the micro behaviors within it, right? So what if whatever percentage of your day you spend thinking about what if you don't want, what if you shaved it off by 10%? How would your life be different? And replace it by focusing on what you want. That fourth column, what do you want instead? What if an act of atomic habit micro behavior is you chained don't want to want, just like you do procrastination to motivation? What if you chain don't want to want? So every time you went to have a don't want thought, boom, it went into a want thought, right? What if you swished your behavior when you're in your don't want mode you're in your what I want mode? Because I'm just guessing, but when you guys are really into fully associated into what you want, you're pretty happy people. You're pretty upbeat people. It's only when that little voice in your head says, well, what if I can't have it, that you start going over the other side. It's like anchoring, right? When you start thinking about the abundant future, we all get enthused. And then when the what if voice kicks in, I think that's the top of the curve. And then you go down the other side. That's why we don't anchor the other side of the emotional curve. We anchor when the positive emotions are flooding. Well done, Simone. Yeah. Right? So what if you shaved? What if you shaved it back? Right? What if you shaved it back? What if I did an NLP tool with you, right? Everybody's interested in having positive stuff installed in them, right? Can you install this in me and that in me? And what if I took away your right to fail? Because when you focus on what you don't want and you do bad behavior, you're exercising your right to fail. What if I took that away from you? What if you took it away from yourself, your right to fail? What if I took away your freedom to the right to fail? What would your life be like? What if you woke up tomorrow morning and you no longer had the freedom to think about what you didn't want? The only thing that you just didn't have that freedom anymore. Because it's one of your rights and freedoms. You can think about anything you want, right? That is, well, in Canada, we used to have that. We're a borderline not having it anymore. But anyways, you have the rights to think about whatever you want when you wake up. But what if we could do it with each other? What if we just took away the right to fail, the right to think about what we didn't want? What would your life be like? Where you're only thinking about what you wanted to wear, what you wanted to serve for dinner, what you wanted to do with your kids, what you wanted to do with your partner. Well, how would your life be different? And what if you could take your map, Six Sigma is a technique for continuous change, right? You measure, what gets measured gets done. That's a Deming quote, what gets measured get done. And you change the little things, you make micro iterations, and the micro iterations create massive change over time. You guys all know the metaphor of the ocean-going cargo ship, right? And the ocean-going cargo ship may be 600, 800 feet long. 800, 600, massively long. And the rudder is huge. There's no force in nature that could give you any device to change the position of that rudder to turn the ship when it's steaming across the ocean. You know how they change the direction of the ship? On the main rudder, there's a little rudder. And they just change the angle of the little rudder, and it changes the flow of the water around the big rudder, and then it can be moved. So the incremental change, a wee little piece, changes the flow of water around the big rudder, and then you can change the big rudder, and then the ship changes direction. Massive ship, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tons, and its direction changes with a wee little rudder. All right. So we have a map. What if we maximize and automated the habit of modifying our map to what we want? What if that was what if that was one of our James Clear atomic habits, is to wake up, pull out our map, and it's okay. Where's the boundaries of my map? Is my map big enough to include me? Am I too big for my map? Do I need more territory? Are the things that I want in that 25 list, these are the things I'm unhappy with, that I don't want, the 25 things that you wrote down, are they in your map? Yes? Tell me yes, please. Tell me, some people tell me yes, that most of what you want is in your map. It can't all be in your map yet, or you'd have it. Right? Because I'm going to suggest all of us are looking for something more. We don't get together on Tuesday nights because life's perfect, right? That we're still seeking to be better, to do better, to have better relationships. At the end of the day, everything I do for myself and for my clients is to have better relationships. That's the ultimate measure of all the work we do. I don't really care about how much money you make. I care about, if you make a lot of money, are your relationships better? I don't care about healing trauma. I care about healing trauma so that people's relationship with their partners, their children, their community are better, right? So if you optimize your map, if you take ownership, why would you take ownership of your map? We get to be adults, right? We don't even know why our map is constructed the way it is. You guys are all like, compared to the population, your understanding of the imprinting phase, the modeling phase, the socialization phase, your understanding of negative emotions, your understanding of traumas and its impact, like you're legions ahead of the average population. You know, let me take the rub on Council Bluffs, Iowa. Go down to a local pub, Ashley, and talk to some men sitting there with cowboy hats on, drinking beer, and say, hey, why are you guys the way you are? Well, I just am, you know, ma'am. I grew up in a farming community and I am what I am. You know, you could really change and evolve. No, I don't think so. I just am what I am. They don't even know why they have the map they have. At least you guys are enlightened. You know you have a map. And here's the good news. It's not your mother's map. It's not your father's map. It's not your sister's map. It's not your brother's map. It's your map. And you're not responsible for the things that were thrown on your map by others, but you are responsible for making your map appropriate for you. Right? And I think when you get your map closer to a 1 mile to 1 mile scale, so the map you're on actually gets closer to the territory you live in, the territory you exist in as a person. So your career map, if your career map actually gets closer to the reality of how you live and breathe your career, that you're achieving all the things you want to achieve in your career, I think that's a really calm, peaceful place. I'm not there yet, so I can't tell you unequivocally, but I think it would be a really calm, peaceful place. All right. How many flat earthers do we have on here tonight? No flat earthers. Awesome. That's a really messed up map of the world. Okay. What do you do when you come to the edge? It's finite. And there are literally billions and billions of combinations of behavioral possibilities available to each of us. Right? All of us have billions and billions of combinations of behavioral flexibility and behavioral possibilities. But you can't access those possibilities and combinations if your map remains stagnant. If your map remains the same, you can't access the billions and billions of possibilities. And I think that's when life becomes exciting. I think that's the aha moment for most people that are on a prac course. That's the aha moment when they finally realize that they don't have to stay the way they are. It's kind of like you get a shiver and you go, what? And then shit starts happening fast, right? And that's why prac is probably the biggest course. Those people who've been all the way through trainers training, I think you would agree that the prac course, when you had that aha moment, you decided you're going to keep going in this, whatever this Kool-Aid is I'm drinking, I'm going to stay in it to the end, right? It's that moment where you realize, okay, I don't know very much about myself. And they just showed me I have way more potential than I believed, and that I can change that fast. I can change. I can do a swish pattern and my hands don't go in my mouth anymore, right? I can do a trauma intervention and I sleep. Right? We get motivated. All right. So the map's not the territory. Work on your maps, please. I'm working on my map. Spend as much time focusing on the things you want. Deny yourself. Just take it away, the right to think about what you don't want. Just take it away from yourself. Don't allow yourself to go there anymore. Swish it. Chain it. Every time you think about what you do want, you feel really good, anchor it. You've got tools of NLP that you can use. These, literally you can buddy up with anybody and say, okay, here's my list of 25 things. And when I think about this thing that I don't want, I want to think this thing. Okay, I'm going to do 25 swish patterns with you. Here's the first one. Swish the don't wants to wants with your partner. You get to practice swish 25 times. 1, 2, 3, swish. 1, 2, 3, swish. You'll be like machines when you're done. Guess what happens when you work with a partner and you're having fun and you're swishing don't wants to wants? Guess what happens to you neurologically? You start shutting down your don't wants. It can't not happen. It just happens by virtue of you doing it. It's like when you teach skiing. Whenever I wanted to get my ski game back, I'd go teach for a month. Why? Because when I'm teaching, I'm trying to emulate, role model the very best technique possible. And then my brain starts imprinting that. My DNA remembers it, and it accesses memories from the past, puts it back together, and now I'm a skier again. Right? Who's up for a swish party? Larissa, I love it. We'll do it like speed dating. The old speed dating clubs where you line up, you give an introduction next, and you just keep alternating chairs? We'll do that. We'll line them up in rooms, 3 minutes each, swish, and then I'll change rooms. Swish, change rooms, swish. Chaining anchors the same way. You guys were working together today? Nice. Carrie must have been working with Ashley. Ashley's beaming. Carrie's very serious, so she must have been the coach. Did I guess right? No. Oh, there you go. Ashley's a happy coach then.